Run, river, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest today. We have back for an encore appearance, Beth Castrodale. And Beth is an author, and her latest book is called In This Ground. And does this book have an interesting twist to it? Right, Beth?
I hope so.
Welcome. This revolves around a cemetery, a band player.
Yes.
She's going to fill us in on this. Did you design your cover?
You know, it's funny. I had a really talented designer, William Boardman, work on it, but I helped contribute. The publisher and I helped contribute to it, but he did most of the work. Wonderful work.
Okay. Give us a hint of what this is all about.
Yeah. So the shortest story is the entire book is set in a cemetery, and the main central character is a gravedigger, and he kind of brings together the stories of the living and the dead who are connected with the cemetery, and he's sort of dealing with kind of a rough past. He's dealing with divorce and guilt over a death of a bandmate. He was a former rock guitarist, so he's processing that issue, and also dealing with a lot of stuff going on in the cemetery, political stuff. And also just kind of the people who are coming and going from the cemetery, and their stories get interwoven into the novel as well. So.
Okay, in the beginning, she's had a Kirkus review, sharp writing and an unconventional plot made for a darkly readable and enjoyable read. Now, I love this part, that a graveyard can be a stage for so much vigorous, multi-layered life is one of the many surprises in Beth Castrodale's warm and wonderful novel. Now, I earmark what I love. Who was the unknown vagrant?
You know, the unknown vagrant is in the story arc of the novel is a character who was sort of a local legend. He was known for wandering through a few states on a regular basis. Every
big heavy coat.
He made his own coat out of stitched pieces of leather, and became kind of a local legend. And his grave site in the cemetery it's actually outside the gates of the cemetery, and it becomes in a dangerous spot where the authorities want to move the body for safety reasons, and it causes quite a big controversy. A lot of people think that this body shouldn't be moved, and the gravedigger Ben gets involved in that, and he's actually based on a real life figure.
Who's a real life figure?
A real life figure. A guy known as the Leatherman in Austin, New York. Same kind of thing. He wandered these states regularly, and no one really knew what his story was. He sort of was a what they would say a vagrant or a vagabond who had no known home, but was very wedded to making this regular circuit through these towns every year. So
it's pretty cool. Now Ben, the main focus of the story, Ben, he leaves his rock band career type, and he works. Tell us why he went to work in a cemetery.
His father was a gravedigger there, so he, Ben had aspirations of, touring with this band, and then, he was studying environmental science in college, and kind of thought that he would, kind of not follow in his father's footsteps, but sort of the way that his life went.
He became a father.
He became a father, exactly, and, it's just sort of one of those things where, sometimes your life goes on ways that you don't intend.
I have never seen a book about it's funny. We have paranormal investigators on the show, and they go to the graveyards. We even have a photographer who shoots wildlife, owls. But this is the first story I have read where actually a band member decides to go into the cemetery business, and he stays there for many years.
Yeah.
What age does he? What does he go from?
It's funny, when I have him in the novel, even as a teenager, he helped his dad in the cemetery, so on and off, and then right around, he drops out of college, so right he's almost 50 when this novel is taking place, so, long stretch of years.
And it goes on, okay, so we're talking about that vagrant. That thing fascinated me. Also, this got me. This woman wasn't dead, and her husband had gotten a stone.
Yeah.
Durgery was the last name?
That's right. Yeah.
What happened there?
So that's Ben's mother, and his father, the Ben's predecessor as the gravedigger in the cemetery really thought that you should have those things all set, have your name on your gravestones beforehand. And she, her thought was, I do not want to have my...
No, he even has her death on there. That's not the real one.
Oh, just her birth date, but her death date is blank until
Oh, okay. I thought the husband had thought up a death date for
Oh
her.
no, that would bring up the novel. That would be an interesting direction.
Can you imagine going over like, oh my God, I have only a couple months to go?
Then you'd suspect if your husband had dark plans, right?
Okay, so he had thought this up, but what was her problem with it? Because she just didn't want anything on there.
Yeah, she just did. She thought it was morbid to even think about having your gravestone done before and also their marriage was in trouble, so she didn't want to have her name on the same stone
so she
as her
had her
husband.
own stone. She did end up being buried there, but she had her own
exactly
stone.
separate from her
Where
husband.
do you get all your excellent background in cemeteries?
It's funny. I did a lot of research. I actually spent a day with a gravedigger, which was a lot of fun.
Where did you go? Where was this?
It was a cemetery in Hyde Park, Mass, and Fairview Cemetery, and it was wonderful. The gravedigger was a great guy, and he took me through kind of the logistics and the mechanics of burial, but also just some of the really weird stuff that happens, especially at night.
Yeah.
In graveyards, which is why a lot of the stuff happens at night in the novel.
This is something that you can't. Once you get going, you cannot put this down.
Oh, you're very kind.
Recommend an annual advertising campaign in advance of bridal season. Now, what was that all about?
It's sort of now that we're on Valentine's Day, right?
Yeah.
I guess the cemetery promoted, double plots, like what Ben's father wanted. It's a way to show your love if you get a burial plot.
Oh yeah, I don't know if that would be my way of showing.
I know. I think a lot of people would share your sentiment.
I would kind of wonder what's this guy got in store here.
Yeah, it probably isn't to everyone's. You'd probably want to ask about that one before you go ahead and spring that one on your beloved.
But it was a advance of the bridal season.
Yeah, it's sort of. I didn't think about the Valentine's Day connection here, but it's
definitely. Well, it is February 14th, 2019. Well, general grounds and mausoleums. Now you could get a little tour of that type of thing.
Yes.
At night or during the day?
I think during the day, but who knows? Maybe people could do it at night as well.
General grounds. Now he had a section. They were Section D. And there were how many sections in this library? I think in this cemetery that he was at. He worked in one particular one, didn't he?
I think in the novel I have it. Sections E and F are new; they haven't quite opened yet. But I think the open ones are A through D. A through D are open. So,
I got a good question for you. Where my parents are buried in Foxborough, it's a beautiful cemetery. People are allowed to put little decorations, and it's all kept very beautifully and neat. Now, they're on the ground level, but there's, opposite their gravesite, there's like this hill. Now, I know and you know that they can't put coffins in a hill like that.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if those are cremation urns that their remains are on this hill. I mean,
Could be.
You can't possibly stack them like this.
right.
It's always fascinated me, and it's been growing.
Yeah.
Whoa. I'm like, there's no
Definitely.
way they had coffins in there.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I wouldn't venture to guess what's going on, but I do know that they have, you can have your ashes buried, and they also have what they call columbarium, where you have the sort of, it almost looks like a sort of a bunkery structure where you have the urns can be placed. But yeah, that's very possible that it was.
There was a couple of mysteries in Ben's life. Give us a hint about those.
Yeah, so I guess one of the core mysteries is his former band, where they were kind of on the edge of some success, and when Ben learns he's about to be a father and leaves the band, and there's some rifts in the band and some conflict, and Ben actually feels responsible for the death of the band's lead singer. I won't get into the reasons for that, but he that's really a guilt that he's carried with him all these years.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that through the courses of the novel that I kind of get Ben to a new place where that guilt is concerned.
Yeah, definitely.
But,
where did you come up with this idea?
Oh man, it's funny. Like, I think that it came from a lot of different areas, but I would say that it was sort of rooted in. I've always been fascinated by cemeteries, and when I was a little girl, a friend and I, we lived very close to a cemetery, and we used to just wander around there and kind of just hang out and talk and tell kind of make up stories about, we would read a name on a stone that would interest us. And I think that idea of, I always wondered, like, who are all these people? And I think that kind of stayed in the back of my mind, that I felt like there's probably a ton of stories from all these lives that are, kind of brought together in this space.
Sometimes I wish on gravestones that they would have a brief bio.
Yeah.
You think that's coming? Maybe?
Well, they actually do have, they have some, in some of the, this is pretty cutting edge, but in some newer cemeteries or newer sections of cemeteries, they have like a kind of a QRC code thing where you can hold up your phone to a chip and get some information on the person who's buried there.
You mean
so
it's a
like,
chip in the stone?
I think so. I'm not sure. I'm not totally sure of the mechanics of it, but yeah, they're it's not a common thing, but that's some of that's starting to happen. Where if you have your smartphone, and this is hooked up, you can connect and learn more about the person who's buried there.
That's amazing.
It's pretty cool.
When you were following the gravedigger around, did he let you in a mausoleum at all to see?
No, we didn't do that. We kind of we wandered around. There was as I recall, there was a grave or two being dug, and he just kind of showed me, the backhoes and that different equipment. But we didn't actually. We walked by some mausoleums, but we didn't actually go in one.
Is it true that they have a cement thing first put down in? They fill the hole. I don't know what else to say it with cement before the coffin goes in?
A lot of cemetery, it's pretty typical to have like a concrete liner and a vault. Like there's a liner of the grave, and then the casket is enclosed in a vault, and that's lowered. Like you get this hooked up to a
yeah, I've seen those, but it's like a cement.
Yes,
cement vault that's over it.
Yep.
That is, and then you did a great job describing, because I know I've been to funerals, cemetery type of. And the crew of the burial crew, they're supposed to stay way away out of the family's way and wait till they are gone before you do anything.
That's right.
One of the characters in her book starts running ahead, and Ben says, "Don't do that."
Right.
I couldn't figure it out. Did anybody see him? Did they catch him?
It's funny. I didn't even really think about that. I'm hoping that no one saw him. I think that Ben's idea, and I think the idea behind that has been just being very respectful and kind of recognizing the nature of it, of kind of standing back and letting the family and the loved ones sort of take center stage and not move in until they've had their time.
I wish there was a way, really truthfully. I know at my mother and father's gravesite, I was very aware, especially at my mother's, of that crew with the truck over to the side. And I kept thinking, this is not cool. I don't like that.
Yeah.
It's like your vultures waiting to pounce.
Sure.
And they probably mean nothing by it. But I just always wondered, isn't there a way they could kind of like maybe just have a scout come down the road and let them know later? It's got to be a nicer way to do it.
Oh, yeah. I definitely think so. And I think that, in the best of all circumstances, that would have been observed, that protocol.
We are talking with Beth Castrodale, and she's back with us again with her new book, In This Ground. This is really good. How can they go about getting your book, Beth?
It's available from the publisher Garland Press from their website. And you can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and some local booksellers in the Boston area have it. Brookline Booksmith, Porter Square Books. But yeah, I would maybe start with the garlandpress.com, their website.
Did you appear at Tatnock?
I did. I sure did.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long ago were you there?
Gosh, it was like maybe a couple months ago.
Because that may be where I saw, they do a great job putting the author's picture up, and when they're coming in, I always go over and check. I may have said, darn, I know Beth. And I must have seen it, because we've been connected for, month or two, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, you were there in late December, January, I don't know.
It might have been, I'm even thinking, it might have been like October.
Was it that far back?
It might have been that far back because the book published in mid-September, so
all right,
couldn't be November. It's possible that it was November. But
were you up front at the little table, or were you back in the big room?
Both, yeah. We were up at the front at the little table for a bit, and then we went, I was reading with another author, and she and I both read in the back in the sort of the discussion
Did you have a good
room.
turnout?
It was decent. It was smallish, but small but mighty. It was really great people who showed up.
I tell all my authors, I say, don't project what you think should be there. I've given presentations to a group of 6, but it's who you meet. and who you've connected with, and
Yeah.
who they may know, who may be exactly interested in. Are you, now people watching in this area, Metro West, Blackstone Valley, actually this is throughout the country, it's online on YouTube too, but if somebody would like you to come and speak at their facility or whatever, are you open to some
Oh,
music?
sure, most definitely. And I don't know, later you were going to, I think, provide my email address, but anyone can write to me. My website, Beth Castrodale, people can contact me through that as well.
Okay, Beth Castrodale, Castrodale .com. Go to her website, and there's a contact button, right? Is there a contact click there?
Yes,
Okay,
there sure
all right.
is.
And
Yeah.
you can connect with her there. That's a great thing. Now, again, this cover amazes me. It's a guitar. I don't think you can pick it up, but a guitar and a shovel. A cemetery shovel and a guitar. And this is how it mixed in this man's life.
Yes, very much so. I thought that was actually the cover designer. That's his. He hit upon that. We were really struggling with how to wed those two aspects of Ben's life, and he created that bit of art himself, which I thought he just did such a smart job with that.
Well, Wendy Fox, she's an author, and she said on the back of the book, "In this ground brings both music and joy to an otherwise mournful landscape." Yeah, I mean, who would think about a former band member working as a gravedigger, basically? And he would walk around and he would know the different people and this type of thing. I think that's fascinating. When did you write? When this came out in September, right?
That's right. Right.
Okay, so how long did it take you to write it?
You know, it's funny. It probably, all told, without interruptions, I would say it probably took me about, 3 years to write it and maybe another year to revise it. I had other things, other writing projects and so forth kind of intervening. But
Sure.
So that means, gosh, I would probably say, looking back at the whole thing with interruptions, like probably 6 years ago when I started it.
So you must have been starting this when you were on the first time.
Oh, yeah.
What was the name of your first book? It escapes me.
Oh, yeah, Marion Hatley. Marion
Hatley. Okay, all right. So that was your first one. Now she tells me she's not just working on one; she's working on two. Now, tell us about those.
Oh yeah, sure. So yeah, the one book is, which I've completed a draft and I'm revising. It's a crime novel, and it's sort of
like a thriller.
Yeah, it has. I'd say that's a fair assessment. It's shortest story is it's two half sisters who don't really know each other that well, but they share a career criminal father, and they meet back up at his funeral, and he has some unfinished business that they end up having to attend to.
That sounds really good. Oh, I like the way you think.
We'll see. It's been fun. I mean, it's definitely. I've never written a crime novel before, so
It'll be good.
Fun.
Believe me.
Oh, well, you're very, very kind.
Is that coming out before the other one?
The other, it's funny. I'm writing it now, and I hope, I don't know if we'll see if it finds a publisher. We'll see. But, hopefully that will, and then, the novel beyond that is, I've always wanted to write, I've always loved Henry James, The Turn of the Screw, and just sort of the psychological, horror of that novel without, it's more operates more on a psychological level than sort of blood and gore level, and so I'm sort of doing a very modern spin. Not directly that story, but a little bit of a sort of a. Just to give you one example, one of the key characters is a housekeeper who may or may not be of this world. It's sort of, kind
of a paranormal kick to it.
A little bit so, yeah. There's plausible deniability, I think, a little bit on that front, but there's got a little bit of supernatural
Now, your
twist to it.
variety, I like this. You keep it, everything seems to be a bit of a mystery in it, okay, now you're adding some thriller, suspense, really, keep going.
Oh, thanks.
I love that stuff. I really do. Beth, what do you do besides writing, or is that your whole career?
Right now I'm so fortunate. I'm able, I'm really focusing mostly on my writing, and every now and then I pick up like freelance writing and editing projects.
Good.
So I'm still a bit of an oar in that, but I've been really fortunate to be able to focus on my writing, which is
And you're up in
incredible.
Boston area.
That's correct. Right.
How far from Boston proper are you?
It's basically in a neighborhood of Boston called Jamaica Plain.
Oh, okay.
It's nice there. There's a nice literary community and a lot of great support there. So
there's up in. Isn't there a bookstore in the Boston area called Porter House?
Porter Square Books.
Porter Square Books.
Yes.
Where are they now? In Boston?
They are. Yeah, they're in Porter Square, which is, I think technically they're in Cambridge, but I think they're right on the Cambridge-Somerville line.
They're on that line. I've heard about that. I've sent some authors up that way. And
They're wonderful. They're a wonderful bookstore.
They're really good.
I would sing their
Make sure.
praises.
Yeah, Porter Square. And they're very open to authors, I hear.
They are. I actually did a reading there, and friends, and they've just been incredibly supportive and
They're very good.
to authors.
Do they bring in, like, do they advertise properly, like they do, get the word out?
Yeah, they do a great job of that, and they're just just wonderful to work with. So
Yeah. Where are some of the places you've been? I'm at libraries, I would imagine. Where, besides up there in Boston, have you come out any further out this way?
I haven't. It's funny with Marion Hadley. I did a little more of a road show with that. Not too much so, but I've mostly been in the Boston area. Actually, the publisher arranged event in Shrewsbury at the library there.
That's a brand new library.
It's beautiful.
So when were you there? When did I miss you there?
That would have been, I want to say, either late September or early October. So
I wonder if they published that. Usually the Sunday newspapers are great at. I don't know. I didn't see that. So you were at the Shrewsbury. It's got these 2 floors now that are a whole different thing than it was before.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'd never been in that library actually until I went there, but I was just blown away by it's really. It looked like it had just been recently expanded.
It has. What were you on the second floor or the first?
We were on the first floor, and they have like kind of those kind of conference rooms in one wing, and we were there.
And you were able
really
to do
nice.
it there. Oh, I think that's
Lovely.
good. Yeah, they've got Shrewsbury Library is extremely popular. You go in there and there's always people moving around. Also, Northborough, they love authors. Westborough, I could keep going. I mean, but you'd want to come down this way. Do you want to stay up more in the Boston area?
It's funny. I would say not necessarily. I'd definitely be open for traveling. It's funny though. I feel like I think I've kind of been of the mind of doing fewer events, but trying to make sure that there's a reasonable amount of people who will show up.
Yeah.
Rather than spreading myself too thin. So I think I erred more on the side of the Boston area for that reason. But I also feel like I would certainly be I'm certainly open to going to other places as well. So
Yeah, I know I gave a presentation recently in Blackstone and at the library down there, and they're terrific. And I think I had asked, how many people have you got signed up for this? I think she said 7. Okay. I thought, okay. But when I got there were like 13 or 14. People just, at
That's
the last
nice.
minute, they say, oh, I want to go to this, Now, were you born and raised in Boston?
actually, I was born in Pittsburgh, and I lived there till I guess I was about to turn 9. We moved to Ohio. So then I grew up. I kind of split my youth between the Pittsburgh area and then the Columbus, Ohio area, and then I went to Ohio State, and then when I was in the journalism school, so I wanted to I applied to jobs on the East Coast, thinking just to get away, and then I got a job at the Cape Cod Times, so I was there.
Oh, I lived on the Cape. That's a great newspaper.
They're wonderful. Yeah.
So you went from Ohio or Pennsylvania to the Cape?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I went from Ohio to the Cape. Yeah.
Oh my God, you were a kid then, right? It was all new to you.
Yeah. Yes. Very much so.
So that's based in Hyannis.
That's correct. Yep.
So your job was as a journalist?
Yes.
Reporter?
I was a reporter there for a couple years, and I started out in Hyannis, and then I lived in Harwichport, and then I moved to Falmouth.
Yep.
So
I've lived in Dennisport and South Yarmouth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my family had a cottage there for summers in Dennisport.
It's beautiful.
You probably had a great time during the summer.
Yeah, it was nice. It was funny though. I actually love the off seasons. Like there's something about I really love like fall and then winter where it just sort of empties out.
Oh,
I know that sounds bizarre.
I
but
was
just
single. I
loved
was
it.
living with my parents, and it was just excruciatingly boring off season. But during the summer, it rocked.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh,
It
yeah.
definitely.
The dance clubs were open, and
Yeah.
then, Route 28. You go down there, and okay, there's that club, and there's that one, and it was. But suddenly, it was like dead.
Yeah,
Dead.
that's true.
And if you haven't made any friends by the end of summer who are going to stick around, you're in trouble. If you're in your 20s, you're really in trouble.
I can imagine that if just sort of.
But you liked it.
I kind of did. I was sort of. I think about like not that I didn't enjoy it in the summer, but there's something about like I'm thinking especially like the Wellfleet and Truro and up into Provincetown and the it's just there's something really beautiful about those times of year. I think. But,
Did you ever go shopping up in Provincetown? They got the most funkiest shops.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it there.
I remember in my 20s, and I was I don't think I'd bought my parents' second car yet, but I felt like such a big girl. They let me take the car from Dennisport and go all the way up to Provincetown, all by myself, and stay in a motel overnight, and go shopping, and I'd go back to the cottage. But that to me was a big deal. That was a long trip to me, going all over just up, up to there. Do you remember when you had your first car?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
It's exciting.
It was like freedom.
It is this feeling of freedom, I think,
Yeah. I've got a son who's 26 who doesn't want any part of a car. He lives in the city of Worcester. Why do I need a car? I could take a bus, or he just walks everywhere.
I've heard that actually the younger generation, they're not as big of feeling like they have to own a car, which it's I guess there's more alternatives for a car now too, but
different outlook entirely. If I live in the city or not, I want a car so I can get out of the city.
Yeah,
we've been talking with Beth Castrodale, and Beth is back with us with her new book, In This Ground, and what a hit! The cover has a burial shovel for a cemetery along with the guitar, and it's all about this fellow who gave up his career, his enjoyment of doing gigs in a band, to working in a cemetery as a gravedigger, and there was personal mysteries in his life too, and it takes you right through it. And if you like something different, really different, gotta read this. Now, are you going to leave a copy downstairs?
yes, I do have a copy for the library.
Great,
so.
the Upton Library. If you're out of town or whatever, you happen to come by, you could borrow Beth's book. Another great way for you to get the word out. And you have, we're going to have to close, but you have your other two books coming up. And when can I look forward to the next one? When?
Oh gosh, we'll see if and when a publisher takes them. So hopefully the next, hopefully 2 or 3 years, or hopefully so.
Self-publish it.
Yeah.
You get it out like that.
I might come to that actually. We'll see how it goes.
You know what? I always encourage it. Because it doesn't take so long. The person gets out there, and also they get to. You didn't get to choose this, or did you choose your illustrator for your cover?
I worked with a publisher to choose. But
this is one of the small publishers. They're springing up everywhere.
Yeah,
great. That's fine, because they're very kind to authors. Whereas these big companies, all right, you submit your manuscript, and you go like this. You might hear in a year or two, oh well, no, it's not good enough. In the meantime, you could have self-published it or gone with a small little company and gotten out there.
Yeah.
Why wait?
Yeah, I know there's pros and cons, all around. But I feel like my personal experience with this publisher
You've got
was
a
great.
good one.
So
the big publishers, if they accept you, they choose your cover.
That's true.
And they dump you there. You're on your own to publicize yourself.
Yeah.
So it's like,
true. Yeah, the authors definitely. I think with any publisher now, you have to step up more with the marketing and stuff, which I think is good. I think it's good to have the skin in that game.
I do.
Are
you over at? Is your book at Barnes and Noble?
It is. It is indeed. Yes.
In This Ground. Go check it out at Barnes and Noble. So you're going to let me know when the next one comes out, right?
Yes.
I will definitely do that. A real nail biter, right? The better. The more scarier, the better.
Good. Okay with it.
She came all the way down here from Jamaica Plain, from Boston today, and you had a fairly good trip, right? A little bit of traffic.
Great weather, nice clear weather.
Yeah, thank God it wasn't yesterday morning.
Oh, yeah. It was no sleet and ice and all that, which is
all right,
good.
well, we're going to see you back here with your next books. Right?
I would be honored. That would be so great.
Check out her book downstairs in the Upton Town Library, or go online, and again, give them your website.
Yes, it is BethCastrodale.com, and if you make the trip there, there's articles and other things.
And it's on Amazon?
It's on Amazon, and also GarlandPress.com is the publisher. If the book can be purchased there as well.
Okay.
So.
And what have you got coming up next where people might see you give a presentation?
Nothing right now is in the works, but I usually post the events on my website.
Okay, so go to her website if you want to see where she's coming up next.
Yes, that's where to look.
I bet you're great at presentation. She's bubbly.
That's very kind.
It's very important. Have you ever been to any of the big authors expos? We just had one in Rhode Island, a huge one, and then the one up in Danversport, the New England Authors Expo every July. You'd love it.
Yeah, it's funny. I should do more of those.
You'd have a lot of fun. It's gorgeous atmosphere. All right, I could talk with her all day. I can't wait for the next book.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. We'll see you next time. I'll be my guest.
Thank you. Thank you so much.